Hey robot makers, hope you're having a good day so far. So do you want to learn about the new Obsidian Bases feature to organise your life? Then this is the show for you. So let's dive straight in. My name's Kevin. Come with me as we build robots and projects, bring them to life with code, and have a whole load of fun along the way. Okay, let's get over to our keynotes. So just a couple of slides and then we'll get straight into the kind of live demo. So if you've not used Obsidian before, you are absolutely missing out. This is something you need to go and discover immediately. So what is Bases? Bases is a new feature of Obsidian, and it allows you to take any set of notes and turn them into a powerful database. It's so cool feature. So with Bases you can organize everything from your projects, travel plans, reading lists, books, you name it, you can put it into a list and organize it. Such a neat feature. I've been all over this since they released this back in, was it July, on the Catalyst license, I think it's called. So quick overview of Markdown. Why is Markdown the best for taking notes? Obsidian is a Markdown editor. So Markdown is it's a way of creating very quick notes that have formatting, but the formatting is kind of a by the way rather than you specifically having to highlight something in bold or whatever. It just kind of happens because of the way that you write the notes. So the syntax for Markdown is really straightforward, easy to learn, and it means the notes are very clean and easy to read, both in an editor and also when they are rendered. So they can get rendered to like HTML or whatever you want, PDF, very quickly. They are also plain text files, so this means that they're very portable across different platforms. In fact, one of the new features of iOS 26 that's coming out next month, I think it is that you can export the Apple Notes to Markdown format. So this is clearly something that's on Apple's mind as well. So you're not locked into a proprietary format. Version control, so plain text means you can use things like Git, enables you to track changes and revert to previous versions if you need to. And searchability, because it's just plain text, you can search notes very efficiently. And you can even use your built-in operating system search functionality or dedicated tools such as Obsidian. The extensibility means that we can enhance Markdown, we can add extra things to it. Diagrams, latex, Mermaid, if you've not discovered that, that's another cool diagramming software that works with Markdown. You can also embed other blocks of code within Markdown. Portability means that you can easily move between different devices, different applications without worrying about compatibility issues. Very easy to back up because they're absolutely minute, the files are tiny because it's just plain text. And that means you can back up to things like cloud storage or local storage. It's all open source, so you don't have to worry about continued development and support. It's just Markdown. And integration, Markdown integrates very well into other tools and services. I mean, you can collaborate on notes very easily. And it's very lightweight, so they're very small in size, very easy to store because they're such efficient use of space, even with a very large number of notes. So Markdown for me is the best way of creating notes. So if I'm using something like Notion or Trello, I think Trello does allow you to put your notes within Markdown, but it's within Trello's own kind of walled garden. And similarly, Notion they have their own kind of markup language, but you access it through the usual kind of interface rather than writing directly in it. So why is Obsidian the best for taking notes? So it has this backlink functionality, which is one of the strengths. So you can see what notes this note is connected to and which other notes connect back to it. So this relationship allows you to discover things that you might not have noticed before when you're creating your notes. And this is when you get kind of deep into your note taking and you've forgotten what note links to what. You can actually visualize this with the next feature, which is the graph view. This is almost unique to Obsidian. I think there might be something called Roam Notes that has something similar, but this is a really cool feature. We'll have a look at graph view in a minute and I'll show you my main vault that's got quite a few notes in it at this point. So linking and embedding, you can essentially create your own wiki, your own personal wiki, very simply just by creating links within your text, and that means you can navigate through your own notes very easily. And it's a way of just managing your own personal knowledge, your second brain as they call it. So this extensibility with plugins, this means that there's a very large ecosystem for third-party plugins, community plugins, so you can have extra features like Kanban boards, calendar views, all kinds of extra stuff like that, making it really on a par with the likes of Notion, Trello, Todoist, and so on, and Apple Notes. And local first. So one of the cool things about Obsidian, as well as it being completely free, is that it's local. So you don't need to have anything hosted on a third-party cloud service that you don't know where your data is. All your data is well within your control, and you can synchronize it given all different types of technology, whether it's like Google Drive, Apple iCloud, Obsidian's own native sync. There's all kinds of extra ways you can sync your data if you wish to do that, but it's completely within your control. Cool. So if you like what I do, you want me to make more videos about Obsidian or note-taking or life hacking, that kind of thing, drop me a comment. Let me know what note-taking tool that you use. And if you're not subscribed to the channel already, please subscribe. It means so much to me when people subscribe to the channel. And I do go live every single Sunday, 7 o'clock British summertime. We're still in British summertime, so yes, you can join the streams live if you're hanging around at that kind of time. So that's British summertime. Cool. So let's have a look at how to set up bases, shall we? I'm just going to go over to me for a second, and I'm just going to load up Obsidian, and I've got a nice fresh vault, as they call it, ready to go. So when you install Obsidian, if I just come down here to this vault, you get this kind of welcome page. Let me just bring this down to the main window. So it's just popped up, and you can basically just create a new vault. You can either open a folder as a vault, because essentially a vault is just a folder with Markdown files in it. It couldn't be simpler. Or if you've already set up an Obsidian sync, it can pull the files down from the other machines that have your files on them. So I've got a couple of different vaults here that I've been playing with, but we're going to be looking at this Vault 3 today, just because I've set this one up for this demo today. Cool. So the very first thing, this is a note. You can see on the left hand side we've got this little panel. We can move this in and out just by clicking this little expand. There's also another one on the right hand side as well. We'll have a look at that one a bit more in a minute. And I'm currently just on the kind of note page. So there's a files area, there's a search, there's a bookmarks, and that's all we've got kind of out the box. And then on the side here there's a couple of other icons that we'll go through in a minute, including bases, which is what today's show is mostly about. Right, so to create a note, you simply just come up here to the little new note, or you can press Command and N, and that's it. We've created a new note. This is our note. So it's real quick to type notes. Then the file name is the first line. The second line is the actual content of the file. So if we had another Markdown file, we'll bring a lot of the Markdown files in a minute just to show what it looks like when we have a few more. So this is essentially how we make notes in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to show you how we install Obsidian first. If you go to obsidian.md, that will take you to, let me just click on that, and that should take us there to the website. And I'm on a Mac, but there's basically all the platforms. So you can have the iOS, the Android, Windows, Mac, and if you're on Linux, including Raspberry Pi, you can get this installed. I've got a how-to in the works for how to install this on a Raspberry Pi. There's a couple of different methods for doing that, and here you go. I've got a Raspberry Pi set up already with another blank vault in there, just to show you that you can actually do this in here. So we can create another note. Hello from Pi. Cool. Right, let me get back to my main vault because I want to show you, kind of walk through a tutorial I've built for this. So once we've got this installed, we can get to it. So let's. What I'm going to do, I'm going to right click on this and open this in the right tab. So you can have two tabs on the screen. You've got these other tabs at the top, but they kind of stick to the left or to the right half of the screen, if you like. So this is going to allow me to sort of move around, but also keep my notes to hand where I can see them. So we've created that new note. Let's go down to that new note that we created. This is note. And let's create some links in here. So Obsidian is crazy about links. So if we say this is a link to the welcome, let's do 2 brackets, type welcome note. You can see there you got this little purple underline, and that's if I click on that, that now takes me to the welcome note. You can see there we can navigate through it using the file system, or we can navigate through it through the links as well. So that's how we create links. And if I go to that little pop out and we look at these outgoing links and backlinks, we can see here that there's a outgoing link to the welcome. So we go to the welcome, we can put another link in here to this is a note. And if I now jump to that this is a note, we can see now that there's also a backlink or a mention from the other note. So you can navigate and you can actually see which notes link to each other. And this kind of ties into this this idea of the graph. Let's just move that out of the way a little bit there. So we have this graph. If I sort of zoom in on this, I'm not sure how we can see that on the screen, but there's little links between each of these. You can just, when I hover over, you can see the actual link there. It's like a spider's web of all the interconnections between your different notes. We'll have a look at that in a second when I dump in a couple of 100 extra notes just to see what that looks like. So the other thing we could do, let's go back to our this is a note. So that was for a note that already exists, but what about a note that doesn't exist yet? So this is a new note. If I click on that, if I type that over here, this is a new note. Currently that doesn't exist, and it's slightly lighter in colour than the file that does exist. So if I click on that, you'll see there that we immediately get a new file. So we can create stubs, if you like, for files that don't actually exist yet. So that's really cool. And if we click on that now, this is a new note. We've got that second view of that. And I can use these little navigation buttons as well to help me navigate around there. So that's one of the first things we can do. Let's create some actual content in here then. So for this, for the welcome page, let's get that on this one here so that we're just navigating here. I'm going to create some tags. So tags is another feature in Obsidian. I think Apple Notes has this as well. And it's a way of organizing your notes together. So let's just do a hashtag and let's just call this note. So that little note there with a hashtag, that's what we call a tag. And we can find things. So let's go into our Hello World one and let's create a little tag for, say, the word, let's move this out of the way, giraffe, just because it's an unusual word there. So we've got the giraffe tag there. Let's go back into another note and I'm going to use the search facility to try and find a tag of giraffe. There we go. We can see there it's in the Hello World, so we can use the tags to find things if we wish. And we also have in the right hand side over here a tags view, so we can actually see a hierarchy of all the different tags that we've got. So we can click on that giraffe one and that'll take us straight to it. So if we were in a different note, let's go back to that welcome one, and I click on that giraffe from the side panel, it takes me to that search page, and then we can go in there, we can find the note that we're looking for. These become really powerful the more notes that you add. So if you're working on projects, you could have a different hashtag for different projects. Okay, let me see what else we've got there. So yeah, we'll look for some tags. We can look at the source code for files. I'm just going to close that for a second. So if we go to these little dots at the top right here, we go to source view. This is the actual markdown of this file. So we can see here we've got the hash with a space means it's a title. The two brackets mean that this is a link, and the single hash with no space to it is a tag. Triple line means that this is a horizontal line, and you can have little dashes to have a bulleted list. If you also have numbers, if you do one dot item 1, item 2, and so on, it'll automatically update these. If I just type 1, it actually replaces it with the next number in the sequence, so you can never be sort of out of step there. So that's quite useful. And if we go back to turn off the source view, you can see there everything looks good, and we've also got this reading mode as well, which gets rid of any of the other markdown that might be hiding in your file there. Cool. Right, so I'm just going to load back up the side panel, go back to here, and now let's look at properties. So to make our bases work, we need to add some additional metadata to our notes. So let's do that by adding some additional tags to our files. So let's go back down to that welcome one. Oops, I'm in the wrong window there. Click on that one and then click welcome. And I'm going to go into that source mode again by going to source mode there. And the very first line after the title, if we do 3 dashes, it then pops into this special mode for adding properties. So let's turn off the source mode and do that again there. So if I do 3 dashes, wrong there. Let me just do that again. Let me just go and remove that little block. So yeah, if we just do this dash dash dash, it then loads up this like properties pane. So let's add some tags. Tags is kind of pre-populated as an option that we can have there. So let's call this one a note. So it's a type note, and it's going to get that hashtag, and we can also, when we're searching for things, we'll find that in our search list as well. We can have all other kinds of tags as well. So we could have a date, click on that, we can say, yeah, it's today. We could have like an authors, so we can have me as an author in there. And the way that I've typed that, if I do the double square brackets and then my name, oops, and then end with the square brackets, we can now click into that, and we've got a new file with just my name on it there. So let's have some tags in here. Let's call this a people, and let's us have the date. Let's click on that date, make that today, and I'm going to save that, and maybe I'm going to link out to that welcome page as well in my little notes so I can jump into that. There we go. So we're starting to add some metadata to our notes. So again, if we go to that source mode and see what this looks like in source mode, so tags, because we can have multiple tags, it's a list type. We can have many different types. You can see there we can create a note called Raspberry Pi. Let's do that, and we can say Raspberry Pi 5, do the 3 ticks, add some tags in there. Let's say Raspberry Pi, Raspberry Pi, all one word, computing, single board computer. And again, if we go to that source mode, we can see that's what it looks like in the example there. So tags, and that's because the tags, the property type of tags, is that it's a list in effect. We can have multiple items in a row. So other properties that we can have in there, we've got aliases. So if we wanted the alias for this to be Raspberry Pi, not just Raspberry Pi 5, then when you're searching for things, if I search for Raspberry Pi, it will take us to the same file, because it knows that that's an alias to that one that we just created there. Authors, that's because I've already created some properties in some of the existing files in the vault, so it's picking up that one. We've got this idea of like a read or a Boolean value. So let's say purchased, for example. That could be, you can click on this little thing here and you can say that this is a checkbox type. So have we purchased one of these? We can tick to say yes, we purchased it. We can have as much metadata as we like to this. So this is what I really like about it. So yeah, publish date or date is something that we can have to check on our files later on. It'll be important when we're building out our bases with extra data. Okay, so that's that. Let's go back to the navigation. Let's go for creating a base. Right, let's get into it, shall we? Let's create a base. So there's a number of different ways we can create a base. We can either click on this new button up here that says create new base. We can go to the command palette. You can access this by doing command and P as well. If I do command P, it'll appear here, and you can type in create base. You can type correctly, create new base, or you can actually right click in a folder and just do new base there as well. So let's just do that. So we've immediately created a new base. So what does this actually mean? We've got this kind of table thing at the top here. There's 23 results. It's currently listing every single note in our vault, and it's just listing the file name of that. We've got this sort, filter, properties, and we have also new. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to name this first of all. Let's call this all notes. Just give this that kind of useful name. And we can see there we've got all notes, and we've got this base file that's been created there. So let's have a look at what this view is all about then. So we can create additional views in our base. So these are a bit like queries, if you know other databases. So let's look at all the notes. So I'm just going to call this view notes. So I've got two views now. I've got table, which we can rename if we want to. Let's just rename this to all vault notes. And we've got that other view that we just created, which is notes. So let's filter using some tags in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to say tags, I think it's file tags, contains, and then note. Contains any of, is it note? I always get confused. They literally just changed this recently, so I was a bit confused about this. So it contains any of notes. I'm sure that's the right one. Right, so let's go to a note. Let's give this some metadata, and let's say go to. In fact, we can create tags either inline like this, so we can say that this is a note, or we can create them as front matter data. So we can go for tags, and we can also say that that's a note up there. So it's kind of got the same tag twice in there. But this will become more useful as we build out our additional tags, and we want to sometimes have things inline as well. Okay, so let's go back to our base and let's see if we can go back to that notes. What I want to do is filter where we have that notes tag. So just bear with me a second. I can't remember how we get this to change now. I'm sure it's called tags. Maybe it's file tags. Or is it file? Well, file tags contains any of notes. Okay. So this filter is currently misbehaving a little bit here. I'm not sure what's going on there. So let's see. Any of them are true. We can have additional ones. We can have filters that apply to all the views in our table, or just one, the specific view that we're on currently. So we can hide that one. And we can also have properties. So I'm just going to go back to our main all vault notes, and I'm going to add in some additional columns of data. So we've got the usual kind of things like, created time. These are kind of file system level things. But we've also got things like authors, dates that we created, tags that we've created as well. So we can see there we've got the note and the demo tags. So we could create, for example, another view, which is a people view. Let's see if we can get this to work. So where the has tag, that's the one, has tag people. So if I go back to that other one, which was our notes, we can change that to has tag. So file, has tag, note. There we go. So all the files that have that note. If our note had a title metadata, we could include that as well as an extra column. But we can certainly add in those other ones that we created there as well. So you can see we've got the tags, we've got the date. This note hasn't got a date. We can actually add that date in here. So we don't actually have to open the note up. We can even add in that author as me. If we go into that note, we can now see that we've got a date and we've got an author, which we didn't have before. So we can view that from the base. Cool. So the way that we add columns in is we go to this properties, and we can have formulas as well if we wish. We'll have a look at formulas in a little bit more detail later on. But look at all the things. We've got things like the folder location, where it is. We've got things like the file links that are in there, the file sizes, the aliases, publish date, and so on. And any additional metadata that we add it to one single note in our vault, then we can have that added to as an extra column. So for example, let us add a little extra tag on here that's called starred. And we can now go back to our main base, and we can have another view. What I will do on this view, I will go to, because I think I'm getting ahead of myself here, my views, and we can create a duplicate of this all vault notes. So we go to the right arrow there, we click on the three dots, we can then duplicate this view, and we can call this one, for example, starred notes. What we can then do is go to our filter, we can go to the has tag and then starred. And we can see there we've got 2 notes that have got that starred flag on them. So this is a way of creating, say, like a favourites, very, very simply in there. Okay, so we have a look at what else I've said in there. So yeah, we've got these starred. Now what we could also do, we can grab that little emoji there, and we could have another property. Let's add in a formula, and let's call this one starred. So if we say file.has tag and then starred, so we could say if, and then we can then do comma and then paste in that little star, otherwise don't have anything in there. Let's see if we can now add that in as a starred. So there it is, let me just bring that to the front. We're currently looking at the starred notes. We haven't got the tag for starred in there, interestingly, so let's go into that one there. So rather than having that there, let's see if we add that up here. Does that mean that we can now see that in here? No, I think I must have got my little formula incorrect there. So let's go back to starred, let's go back on here. So if file has tag starred, if that's true, there we go. So we've now got that little star that we can have that at the front there if we wish. Maybe make that a little bit smaller. So we can see there that we've got stars. So Vin says, why am I not surprised that there is a Copilot community plugin? Absolutely, we can have a look at that in a moment if you wish. I use that quite a bit in some of my notes. We'll have a look at community plugins and see what are available. Cool. So let's create that Raspberry Pi note. And we want to see all the files that have Raspberry Pi in them. But at the moment, I've not really got a lot of content going on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this Markdown file that I've created. I've got a list of every single YouTube video I've created, and I've output that using a little Python script. So each video I've created now has a file, and we've got things like a link to the cover, the thumbnail, which is hosted on YouTube itself. We've got the publish date, the video ID, the title, and it's got the tags YouTube as well. So there's quite a few of them that have just been added to this list. What does it say there? Is it 430 files? That must be how many videos I've published. So now that we've got that, we can go into this Raspberry Pi file, and what I'm going to do, you can see here I've got this inline text. So this is a way of including within a file. If you want to manually configure a base, you can really get under the hood with this and type stuff like this. And so we've got 3 backticks base, that's a code block. We've got filters, which is how we select what is in our base. Formulas, we've got this file as link, so that means we can click the video ID and it'll take it through to the file there. And then the properties, so formula file display name video ID, and then we've got these one view, which is the table. It's got the title, the formula, the publish date, and we're sorting it in ascending order by the title. And you can see we've got some column sizes there as well. So if I come to the end of here, I press return there, so we come out of the code block. We've now got an embedded base within a note, and you can see there we've got that table that we created like so. So we've got a clickable video link. If I click on that, it'll actually open up the video, and we've also got these in fact, I don't think it's the video, I think it opens up the file. There we go, takes us to the file directly. We could make it click on the video if we wanted to, that's easy enough to do. And it's sorted them in alphabetical order because that's what we specified. We wanted ascending order for the title. So how cool is that? We can very quickly find all the videos that have the word Raspberry Pi in them, because that's what we've included in the filter when we created this view. So the title in lowercase contains the word Raspberry. So how cool is that? So you can see 142 videos that contain the word Raspberry. Cool. So the next thing that we can do, which is getting really cooler, we've just done embedded bases. So that was how we can embed. If we wanted to do that the kind of hard way by knowing exactly what text to type in, there is actually a much easier way to do this. Let's go back to our welcome note. Let's go to our welcome note here, and I'm going to embed that Raspberry Pi base that we've just created. Sorry, we'll embed the all notes, the all vault notes in here. So if I do exclamation mark and then 2 square spaces, we can actually add in this all notes base, and you can see there that it's now defaulted to the main view that we've got. But if we wanted that to be, say, people, we could do hash people, and it will embed just the people view. As you can see there, we've got currently we've only got one person in there, which is my name there. If we click on that, there I am. So we could have things like, I don't know, email address, that could be of type text. We could have, I don't know, phone number, maybe address as well. So you could have all these kind of CRM type things in your note. And we could have a people note which shows you all the people. So we've got Alex there as well, and add her in as a people. We could also have, let's go back to people, add in Jenny. Let's do that as well. We could have an alias as Jen, and we could also have that tagged as people. So we go back to that welcome note. We can now see that we've got 3 people listed, and we could have additional columns in there if we wanted to, like the email address, phone number, and address, for example. And we can add, as I said, data to those notes. We can do that. If I go over here and I say Jenny on the right hand side, let's see what happens when I actually add in things on here. So if I say jen@kevsrobots.com, so you can see that's just been added on the right hand side. If we go to phone number, let's just add in a phone number and then address. You can see that's also been added on there as well. So we can very quickly add data to notes from a base, which is really cool. The other cool thing, you can resize the columns. I know this sounds really obvious. You can't do that in the data view, as I understand it. You can also reorder the columns or sort by, phone number. If I had another phone number there, I could sort that in kind of numerical order as well if I wanted to do that. So yeah, you can do all kinds of things with embedded bases, and all I did there was just do that exclamation and then the double square brackets and the name of the base that we wanted to include in there. The hashtag just says this is the specific view that we want to have on here. So you can see how this could start to get very, very useful. Okay, so that's embedded bases, we've done that one. Yep, there's all the videos on the side there. So let's have a look formulas. Let's have a little bit more of a dig into some formulas. So we can have dynamic data added to our bases. Let's go back to our all notes base here, and these videos that we have, let's create a new view. We can create a new base, in fact, for this. Let's just do a right click, new base. Let's call this one videos. We can then filter out and just say we only want to have anything that has the YouTube tag. So that's the 430 files that I dropped in before. We might want to make this look a little bit nicer, so we've got the video ID, we have the publish date. We don't want to see the cover URL, that's not particularly helpful, but there, the publish date might be more useful to have there. The title, I think I want that to go first, and then we actually don't want the file name, so we can either right click and hide that column, or we can just go to properties and untick that from the list. So we've got now a list of all the videos. We've got a base that's called videos. We can embed that view in some other things. Now what I want to know is, how old are these videos? We've got a date, but it'd be really nice if we had an age column. So let's go to properties, let's type in age, let's create a formula, and you can see that formula that I've got just above my head here. So today, if I do that, that's today's date minus the date, published date, which is one of the metadata that are actually included in all of these files. So you can see that we can actually sort by age. So you can see there a few seconds ago why I'm ditching Notion for Obsidian bases, which is this very video you're watching now. You can see before we had that, we had the Raspberry Pi Touch Display 2, the 5-inch version, which we did a video about last Monday. We have the PCB drone, PCB secrets. So that's the actual PCB there. More on that very soon. And yes, we've got a date that just we've got the actual date, and we've actually got the age of the videos as well. So you can see there, going back, some of them are quite old, mostly 5 years old, but I think there's some very, very early videos that I put on there are 7 years old. And these ones here, I'm not sure why they've not got a date. Maybe I've not put the right format in the file for that. So we could go into that file and see what's going on there. If we go back to the file name, let's have that as something that we can click on. Let's have a look and see what's going on there with that date. So it has got a published date. Maybe it's not in the right format. Let's have a look at the source. Yeah, so I think that needs to be 2025. Is that right? Yep. So I think that just had the wrong format of date in there. Let's go back and hide that. We jump back to the file we edited before. And then let's go to that very last one there. That also probably has the same issue. It just needs to have the 20 in front of that 25. So it's just a little bit of a data cleansing there. And I can go back to our list now. They're all now correctly ordered. So there we go. The last 2 videos there, 7 years old. Now that's all well and good if you like tables that look very texty based, very Excel based. But really cool if we could do a bit more with that. So what I'm going to show you now is really, really cool. So let's create a new view. And this view is not going to be of type table. It's going to be of type card. So we can say that the image property, because we have that cover image, we can click on that and boom, all those images are now being shown on our cards. We can say that we want to contain the image so that we can see the whole image. It's not sort of stretching outside the bounds of that. And we can resize this so we can have as many or as little cards we want on there. Now it's currently showing the file name, which isn't great. Let's go for title, video ID, publish date. Let's get rid of the file name. So we can make these cards a little bit more readable. We can go back into that view. We can then change the card size. Maybe 3 looks good. And there you go. We've got much easier to view because we have that cover image link, which is hosted, like I said, on YouTube itself. So it's grabbing these off the web live. I can scroll down there. And we can still have that sorting order. We can sort by the publish date if we wanted to. Let's do that, publish date. And then it asks for old to new. Let's do new to old. Oops. And let's scroll right back to the very top. There we go. So I've got some quirky things going on there. I'm not sure what's going on there. That's because it's not filtered out the list properly. So let's filter for all things. It has to have the tag YouTube because it's only the YouTube videos that have the cover image in there. There we go. That's much more like it. So that's the correct order of the video. So this is the one you're watching now. That was the previous video I did, and the drone videos, Pecan 2, the plotter videos, and so on. We need to return back to that plotter, and we can see there we've got the video ID, we've got the title, and we've got the published date all nice and neatly on that card. And the cards are clickable. It takes you into the notes, and then you can have extra text or continue information about maybe you've got your show notes in there, whatever you want to do for that case. Right, so that is the main thing I wanted to show you on cards. Now, I do understand that there's quite a few features on the Obsidian roadmap, and additional views is one of them, because if you think about Notion, they've got like a calendar view, a timeline view, a feed view, which is new, and they've got a whole bunch of like gallery view. There's lots of different views that they have, and currently on Obsidian we've just got table and cards. But yes, there's a lot more views to come there. So let's have a look at these use cases. Let's drag this into over here actually. So great for anything you want to dynamically organize from existing notes or possibly future notes that you haven't created yet. So book lists, people, recipes like favorite meals and so on, projects you're currently working on, maybe they've got a state of active pause, So we could mock that up very quickly here. Let's create a little folder, call it projects. Let's create a new note in there and call that one drone project. We could have a tag which is project. And we could have, I like to keep my tags and my topics separate. So I'm going to have a topics which is going to be of type list. And then we can say in there, this is a Raspberry Pi Pico project. It's going to be using MicroPython. And those topics don't exist currently. So when I click them, it'll create a nice new link there for that. So we can have that as a topic type. And the topic is going to be programming, like so. And you get the idea there. So we might have a MicroPython.org and maybe CircuitPython as well. Like that. We'll build on that node maybe later on. So let's go back on there. What else do we have? So that was projects. We could create a base for that project as well. So we could say, let's filter that, has to have the tag of project. And you can just see there we've currently only got our drone project, but because we've got this new button over here, we can click new and we can say that this is like the Obsidian project. And if you look at the properties, whatever properties you've got on the screen when you create new, it'll add them automatically on there. So we could have that date. Let's add that in there. And maybe we have topics, and this is like note taking, something like that. Whatever we want later on. So we've got a new, it's just created it on this list here. So Obsidian, there it is. That's the note that we just created. So you can see here we're getting a little bit busy on the left hand side. The notes are not particularly well organized, and there's a really nice plugin that I like to use to automatically move my notes based on the tags that we have. And I think this combined with the bases feature, it's just like really chef kiss. So if we go to the community plugins, let's turn on the community plugins and let's browse what community plugins are available. And there's one that's called the Auto Note Mover. There we go. So I've actually installed this one already. So to install it, if I uninstall this just to show you how easy it is, you click on install, it spins its wheel, you click on enable, and you've now got an additional plugin installed. If we go down here, you can see the Auto Note Mover plugin is available there. And what we can say is if something has the hashtag of if something has the hashtag of projects, for example, we want to move that to the projects folder that we've created. So let's add in a couple of these other ones. Let's have we have got a people project folder yet, but we'll create one. So let's have a people, and let's have a look and see what happens now if we create that people folder. Let's go back into our people. So I think we had a little people thing here. If I click on Kevin, I'm going to remove that tag and then I'm going to add in the people tag. And look over here, it says people doesn't exist. We just need to make that capital. I think it's a bit fussy on the capitalization of that. Right, let's go delete that, add that back in, people. There we go. So it's now moved that Kevin note to the people folder. We can go to Jenny. We can do the same on there. Let's just refresh that with people. I'll move Jenny to there, and we've got Alex as well. And we can just move Alex to people. And the projects, we have the drone projects. Let's just put that tag back in for project. So you can now see we've got the drone project. We have the Obsidian project. Let's just refresh that tag there as well. And you can now see it's automatically moving stuff, kind of tidying up our notes as we go. We might want another one which is just general notes. I think I've got one that's called Vault, and it's just kind of a folder for, let's have one that's called Bases. Let's have another one which is, oops, clicked on the wrong thing there. Let's just create a new folder. Let's call this one Notes. And we could move anything which is a base. Let's go back into our Auto Note Mover. We can just have another thing. So we want to move all our bases if anything is a base. So hashtag base. Now I think with bases, we haven't actually got a hashtag of base yet. Yeah, it's not letting me add that in because bases are actually a file type. But we could have .base, star.base maybe. Let's see if that works. So if we create a new base down here, we might just have to manually move these ones. So we can move that into our base folder, which is at the top. And we can then start to organise our notes a little bit better. So I actually have all my bases and my main Obsidian vault all together. There we go. And that's another random one that we created just a minute ago. So there we go. There's all our videos. We could go to that main view there. We can see all our nice videos. I think what I prefer to do with this is I like to have a note that has the base that we've created embedded within it, because then you can have like a top and tail. So we might have all videos note. Let's have some, this is going to be a topic. The topic is going to be YouTube. Like so, the date, I always like to have dates on here so I know when I created the note. And we're then going to have the exclamation mark, double square brackets, and we can find that video base that we created before. There we go. And if we have the hashtag, we can even specify which view we want to have, such as the nice card view that we created before. There we go. And we can always go into there and have a look and see what the code block looks like, and it's simply on this one is just that video base view, like so. There we go, all 430 videos in a nice note, and we can top and tail that, like I said. So because this is a regular note, if I go to that sources view there, I can just insert in between there. Let's do a hashtag, a space, and all YouTube videos, like so. So we've now got a nice title that goes on there. This is a list of all my. And to make these more useful, I could have extra information when I exported out those Markdown. I could have like the video type, whether it's a live stream, a video, or short, and so on, or long form video. And that would be another way to sort of slice and dice this data. You get the kind of idea there. Cool. So that's what it looks like. Let's have a look at our, zoom back a little bit now on, there are all our notes, and a lot of these are actually joined together. A lot of them are not joined together because they haven't got a single note that they all join to. So if we create a new note down here, let's call this one all YouTube notes. And if I say on here, let's have a think, a way of linking all these together. Let's just have a YouTube tag there. So because we have that tag, that should mean that we can then see all the other files that link to that. Let's see if that has had the effect I'm looking for. No, I don't think it has quite yet. I'll have a look at my main vault and see what I did on that one, because I did have a way of connecting all the notes together. Cool, cool. So let me see if there's anything else I wanted to cover off in our main demo notes. Fine, there we've got demo notes. So we've created formulas and functions, we've looked at use cases. So yes, things like reading lists. So what books have you read? How did you rate each of the books? Which authors were they by? We can build that kind of information out. I think on one of these I did create like a list of my favourite authors. In fact, I think there's actually a note in here about all my favourite authors. Let's see where I put that. Fave book notes. There we go. So we could create a note for each of these books. So let's do that. This is a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Let's grab that. That's the date. Let's have in the date in there. Let's paste in what was the date. It was the 12th of October 1979. And the author of that is Douglas Adams. We could give this like a rating as well if we want, and maybe out of 10 perhaps, and what else, whether we've read the book or not. So I have read that book. Now if we now create a new base for books, let's just create a new base. We can now say the filter has to be book. We haven't got any books listed yet, that's fine, and we can also have one for authors as well, so we can have another base which is just authors, and again we can just filter that and says has to have the tag author. In fact, I think author is a type we can, so author is not empty, there we go, and we can actually have the author in there as well, so maybe the author comes first. So there's Douglas Adams, and we've included him but we've not done it as a clickable link, so if we do the double brackets Douglas Adams like so, there we go, we've now got a page that we can go to him, and we can now include that Douglas Adams base that we've just created, that author's base like so. We can even have an extra filter that just filters on the Douglas Adams books as well, which would be quite cool. We can do that later. So let's go back to that note that we had. Let's open that favourite books on the right hand side, open to the right, and then let's go over here and just create another new note. So this one is Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. Let's add the tags for that. So that one is a book. So for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy one, did I put that as a book? Let's have a tag for that, which is book. We could also have a genre as well, whether it's like, you know, science fiction. I like to read a lot of science fiction. Okay, so we now go back up to our books base. We can see now we've got a couple of books coming in here. We can have the genre, the rating, whether I've read them or not, in there. So this is also a science fiction. I'll give that one, I quite liked it, but not as much as Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Right, we can now use the new feature. So we can do new, we could have Foundation. Has anybody watched the new Foundation TV series? I think they're on season 2 or 3 now on Apple. So this is another science fiction. This is definitely a 5. Let's add in the author. And this one is going to be Isaac Asimov. I definitely read Foundation. There we go. So yeah, I've definitely read that one as well. You can see there we've got Foundation. Maybe we add in the authors as well. That might be useful to see. So that one is Douglas Adams. You can see we can very quickly add missing data that we've got there. I've done that thing again where I've not added the author in correctly. So Isaac Asimov. Let's close that out. And we can create another couple of books. There's Foundation and Earth. That's going to be book. That's what we need to do there. We can go back to this view and fill out the rest. So it's a science fiction, maybe a 4, read that one. That's an Isaac Asimov book. And we can have a look at our favourite book, Second Foundation. Don't think I've read that one yet, so we can do new Second Foundation. We can have all the extra information in there, so give that a 1 for now because I've not read it. And that's also an Isaac Asimov. So you get the idea. We can start building these out, all the different books that we've read very, very quickly, like so. So these are science fiction. I think I have read mostly Harmless. I've not read Long Dark Tea Time of the Soul, Douglas Adams and Douglas Adams. And there we go. We can start to look at what we think were our favourite books. We could sort them by our rating. So Foundation by Isaac Asimov there is one of my favourite books. So I could add in all the other authors I like Philip K. Dick and Arthur C. Clarke. And I could see if there's any books that exist that I've not found. Now there is also another community plugin for books. Now let's browse that. book search. And what book search does is it allows you to find books and then bring in all the metadata for your favourite books. That's pretty neat, isn't it? So let's have a look at book search. What options have we got on there? So we can add them in. If there's a template we want to use, show the cover in the search, that's pretty neat. Save the image if we want to save that somewhere. You can even specify a folder for saving them to, like images, covers, if that exists. We have to create that in our images and then covers. I think that definitely needs to be inside that folder there. So if we now go to that book search thing, let's open up Foundation, go into book search, and then let's find Foundation. It's going to find it, it's going to find all the different books, and maybe I needed to specify that that was by Isaac. Let's go back and do another search on that one. Isaac Asimov. Oops, English. See if we can find that. There we go. So it's now brought in all that metadata, including the book URL. So there's a book URL for the high quality one, there's even like a smaller one as well. So we can go back to our books. We can then go to views, create a new view, make it a card view. We can use that property, which was the image URL, small URL, maybe that one. And because they've not all the things in here, we haven't filtered this properly yet, so it has to have a tag of book. And oops, and we've only got one book currently that's got anything like a. Let me just go back to that view configure. Let's try the larger one. Cover URL. Make that contain. It should bring that through. I'm not sure why that's not come through on there. Was it Foundation? Did I save that? No, it's actually brought it in as a separate thing there. So we just add in a tag. Call that one book. Now we go back to our view. We should see that. There it is. We've got the book cover on there. So we could do the same for all the other books that we like, bring in all that real rich data. It just means we can slice and dice that however we wish. Okay, you get the idea there. So let me just go back to my demo notes and see if there's anything else. Play colour, please. What's the... Oh, Troublemaker hats, the different colours. I wonder what on earth you were talking about there, guys. So, canvas. So, a really cool feature that we've not talked about is canvas. So if we go to create new canvas, let's bring this across to our main view so we can see what's going on there. I'm going to close that out. Canvas is a way of putting your notes in a visual form. So we can bring in individual little notes. So this could just be a title of books or something like that, I don't know. We can bring that up there. We could have another note, fave books. Let's make that one blue. That's not blue. You can link these together as well. You can just have like a little noodle. You can draw these together, or you can draw it from that side, however you wish. Whatever floats your boat. And you get the idea, and then you can actually drag in things like, you can even drag bases in here, which is quite neat. So we could have like, you know, this is our favourite books. So we can zoom out on there, you get the idea. We can do all kinds of cool things on here. We can have images, we can have notes that we're pulling in, so we can pull in that Foundation one, for example, that note that we had there. And you can work on them just like you would a regular note, but it's all visually connected, so that's what I like. You can just drag a little noodle from one thing to another. And you can even group these things together, so if you've got like favourite books and then the book's base, if you highlight both of them and then group them together, you can just sort of group that, and then as you move it, it sort of stays together as a little group. So bases work with Canvas as well, which is really neat. So we can embed existing bases within the Canvas as well. Really, really like that feature. Cool. So let's go back to what else we have. We've looked at the auto note mover. We talked about starred notes. I think we created a starred note. Did I call it starred, or did I just have it as a an all notes? I think it was, wasn't it? And we had like a starred view within that. There we go. So again, we can include another view like that, and that will automatically update as we add that starred tag. So if we go, we have that Raspberry Pi. Well, let's open that to the right. We add into that tag there that it's starred. Saved all the tags we've used. You can see that it updates instantaneously. So I remove that, add that back in. You can see it updates this little list automatically. Just love how quick this is. And apparently this works like with 10,000, 20,000 notes. It's still really, really quick. I think that's one of the complaints a lot of people had about Notion, is it's quite sluggish to use. One of the things that puts me off using that. So I'm going to show you now. If I go to my main personal knowledge vault, let's go to put this down here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to jump to the graph view on this. Let's wait for that to update. You can see there, that weird thing there, that's all those YouTube notes that I dropped in. They're actually linked to a particular note in there. And as you hover over them, you can configure this however you like. Well, you can say include tags, don't include tags. So if you include the tags, it sort of squishes all them together, which is nice. And you can also see kind of outliers, so little notes that are not actually connected to anything. You can see that these exist, and maybe you need to go in there and enrich them in some way. So if I go to my main organizational structure, you can see they've got an ideas base. So that's where my ideas live. So as I think of a new idea, I just sort of pop it in there. So maybe I want to continue drone project, and we could have a topic in there which is a drone or something like that, Pico drone. Maybe I'll have that one for drone as well. So there's 2. And if I go into the idea, if I go into that continue drone, let's also star that one so we can find it starred as well. So continue drone project, there it is. So we can also have a local view. So this little local graph view just shows me all the things that are connected to this using those backlinks and forward links. So I can see all kinds of, there's a base there, there's MicroPython's linked to that, so my notes all about MicroPython are there. I can jump back to that main drone note, and so on. So I also have like for each of the ideas I'm working on, a status. So draft means I'm not done anything with that, and I always like to put a date in so I know how old, how stale that idea might be. But you get the idea there. And the topics just allow a way of separating out from the tags. So tags kind of indicate the content of the file. You know, is it an idea? Is it a person? Is it a book? That kind of thing. And then the topics are then drill into the specifics of that. So I thought it'd just be interesting to see, you know, what kind of larger vault looks like with all the knowledge areas that are in there. So lots of ideas, lots of topics linked there. The sort of larger the circle, robotics has got quite a large local link to things. This is how we you can include bases as well. You can just include them like so. If I go back to make sure we turned off that source view, you can see there we've got all kinds of robotics things linked to that, and all kinds of topics in there as well. So Obsidian is just the best tool, in my opinion, for creating and managing all your notes. Right, so let's go back to our main demo vault. And I think that's everything covered off that I wanted to include in my little notes. So let's go on there. So yes, auto note mover, I think I covered that one off. And we also talked about all the different possible use cases for that. Cool. So that's how you set up Bases. Works on all the platforms, mobile phones. If you've got the sync thing set up, you can even sync it with your phone, your iPad, everything, all the things. So let me know on our Discord server if you've not already joined that. So you want to definitely head over to kevrobots.com/discord. Let me know if you have a Obsidian Vault. What are your favourite plugins? I want to know in the comments what people's favourite plugins are. There's probably some that I've not used yet that I'm missing out on. We didn't cover things like tasks in there, but I currently use Trello, Notion, Todoist, and a lot of those are paid for, so I need to stop paying for them and just use the free Obsidian. Obsidian does have a Catalyst license, so if you want to kind of get new features before they are launched, you can go to the to General and Account. You can buy a Catalyst license, so I bought one of those. They also have a commercial license as well, but it is 100% free for people to use without that. Cool. So definitely go over to our Discord server, say hi, show me what projects you're working on. We want to see all the cats. People are talking about cats in the comments a lot today, so I definitely want to see people's pets in there. And if you want to follow me on social media, maybe send a picture of what you're currently working on. I'm on all the social platforms you can see there. So Kevin McAleer at threads.net, on TikTok Kevin McAleer 6, on Instagram I'm at Kevin McAleer. I'm on X as KevsMac. I'm on Mastodon at KevsMac at mastodon.social. I'm also on Blue Sky at kevsmac.bsky.social as well. So Marie Mayer says my plugin OS red wine. What's that? My plugin OS. Not sure I followed that one. So I have got just as a bit of a side thing there on my main vault, which is my KVM one. I have got a theme on there which makes it sort of the non-white colour. I just think this looks a bit more pleasing on the old eyeball. You're sort of organising stuff on there. So yeah, and then the fonts and stuff, and that's just another thing you can do. You can just change the appearance by themes. I'm using the Anu Pupuchin, I think it's called. There's a tutorial you can download on how to do exactly that, and they even have themes that you can check to see if is there any updates to that. I'll update them as well. Cool. Jump back to my notes there. If you want to join me, you can do that a number of different ways. If you head over to kesrobots.com/coffee, you can find links to all the different ways of supporting the channel. So you can do a super chat, super thanks. You can join the YouTube membership channel, which gets replaced, the subscribe button gets replaced with the join button. You can also buy a coffee as a one-off as well. Some crazy things being talked about there in the chat. Removal hat with a voice box. Kev Robot plushes with a welcome robot maker's soundbox. I think if you go to the Pimoroni, I think it's the Inventor, they have the Ahoy There makers, and that's my voice. They clipped for that as a little sound clip, but that's on their GitHub repository as one of the demos, just as an aside there. Cool. So yes, you can do all the different ways of joining the channel there, and I'd like to give a shout out to all the people as well who support the channel. So let's do that right now. So over here on the left hand side, we've got a couple of people bought coffees recently. So Tom bought me a coffee, thank you so much for that, Tom. Marie bought me 3 coffees, thank you for that. And then we've got the regular members of the Buy Me a Coffee side. We've got somebody wanting to be anonymous. We've got Silicon Fiber, Marie TKD, we've got Jeff Johnson, Diane Corty, Marlene Brent, and Tom. And then on the YouTube membership side, we've got Warren Packard, we've got Brian, Piers, we've got Orksrad39, Bert, Marie, Michael, Steve, Ford, Bello, Johnny, Stephen, John Paul, Cassie, hope the arm's doing well there, Cassie, Tinkering Rocks, Johnny, and we have, of course, Tom. So thank you everybody for supporting the channel. It means so much to me that people continue to do that, and it means we can stay afloat with all the bits and bobs that we need to buy for the channel. Cool. So the spinny logo tells me it's at this point in the video YouTube will be recommending over here another video for you to watch from the over 430 videos that we have on the channel. I know that because of today's Obsidian video. So definitely check one of those out. It's selected one just here for you to watch right now. So thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you next time.